Talk, talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection coast to coast and beyond in all the latest news, developments, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the world of thoroughbred horse racing. From California to New York, Florida, and Kentucky, we have you covered. It's post time, live from San Diego. It's Track Talk.
And we welcome you from a majestic, beautiful, America's finest city studio here in San Diego, California. This is Track Talk from the WS Radio Network. Boy, we've said that for a long period of time, and we're getting our message out to each and every one of you. And we are so honored to have you. If you're a first-time listener or a long-time listener, I know that there are some people that might just be finding us after 25 years, but that's okay. And there's some long-time friends that are out there that have kept in touch and reached out and been able to give their advice, their critiques, their assistance, their help to the radio program. And we appreciate that. And we call them a very part of our radio family and a deep part, and we welcome all of you to our broadcast because this is a pretty nice day, without any question. When you look around, and you know, if you're a horse racing fan, you love horses, you love to be a part of the game. Well, what really draws you to the game are the superstars of the sport. And today at Saratoga, you have like 3 grade ones in a row. Actually, 3 grade one races. They're not all in a row. The Personal Ensign, a mile and an eighth for fillies and mares, goes as race number 5 from Saratoga. That's a $500,000 purse. Then the Whitney, small but mighty Whitney, and my boy's in there. Code of Honor. He'll be knocking on the door, morning line at 5 to 2. We'll talk about that in a moment. The Whitney, a mile and an eighth, 4 and upward, grade 1, $750,000. And then we go to the H. Ellen Jerkins. Remember the Giant Killer? Well, a name raced in his honor, 7 furlongs, 3-year-olds, a grade 1, a purse of $300,000. Is carded as the 10th race. And then we concluded, I believe, the 11th race. I didn't even go any further. There might be 12 races. There might be 15 at Saratoga. Who knows? But the Bowling Green is 1 mile and 3/8, 4 and upward. It's a grade 2, $250,000. So, with that being said, the most important part of this radio show, per my voice and my eye, will be now sent out there to the universe. I want to say happy birthday to my radio partner, Tommy D, who we've been quarantined and socially distanced, and I haven't seen him for 4 months inside the studio. And, you know, when you work with somebody, you build the chemistry and you have interaction, and there's nobody finer, and I shared that with you. You know, I've had some great people that, you know, were like co-hosts, like Ken Daniels, my late friend Ken Daniels, who I think about every single day, believe it or not. And some of the moments we had after doing a decade and a half on the radio in horse racing. But Tommy D really fits a mold, and I'm really happy that he's with me this morning. Tommy D, this is your day, not only because it's your birthday, but, I mean, they're having a big party back in your neck of the woods at Saratoga. Tommy D, happy birthday. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Felix. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Good morning, everyone. Good day to have a birthday on us. Falls on a Saturday and some stakes races. Saratoga, the Whitney got a big day. Also, Del Mar, some great races. And like you said, we have some superstars showing up today. So anxious to see horse racing and on the big day. So, you know, double party, Felix.
Tommy D, let me ask you. I know that you have a brand new baby girl in your life, and you're raising your son as well. And during these tough times, we have to call audibles. Have you been keeping a keen eye on what's happening at Saratoga as well as Del Mar?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think with the times, have a little bit more time to spend. I do wake up later in the night, and I have to take my time to look at the races, watch the races. But definitely Saratoga Del Mar is my favorite time. Summertime is always my favorite time in horse racing. I know it's, you got the Breeders' Cup in the fall and the Derby in the spring, but, summertime, Saratoga Del Mar, I'm always into that, especially growing up near Saratoga, a big day like the Whitney, named after, prominent owner in the game. It's a big race, and, it's a great day. Unfortunately, the fans can't be there, but I'm just happy we got racing going. We got to take the positives where we have, and, I'm just happy, for my birthday today that there will be some quality horse racing at Saratoga and Del Mar.
Yeah, they planned a great party. What a great party you got going on back at your neck of the woods. And, in just to backtrack a little bit to show you and give you, a real deep feel in regard, your late grandfather who actually brought you to the races. We've had this conversation on a number of fronts and a number of occasions. And your late grandfather, he passed away. Obviously, he's your late grandfather, and his spirit will always remain. But the connection of your grandfather taking you to Saratoga, that's a special moment that, it has to be etched into your heart.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those things that you always take with you, and, he's always there with me. I always have him on my side. But, going the track, it's usually someone that brings you into the game for the love of the sport. And once you, see these animals up front in person, and you get to experience the excitement of the sport, and if you win, of course, it makes it a little bit better. But either way, it's a win-win atmosphere when you're at the track. So unfortunately, I wish I could be at the track where if my birthday falls on a track day, I'm usually there. But you know what? Like I said, I'm grateful that I have a healthy family, and everything is good here in San Diego. Felix just trying to stay positive and, move forward.
You got to do that. You got to do that. Hey, it's been great racing back at Saratoga. Del Mar launched yesterday for week number 3. I just want to shout out to all the Southern California connections who are waiting for something to happen. And I think that it's moving in the right direction. First of all, Del Mar raced on Monday, which, they didn't race on a Monday for at least 20 years, if my recollection is online. But they did have a special Monday card, and it was a pretty good move for Del Mar. Simply put, they handled $11.6 million on a day in which you had competition from Indiana Grand, Delaware Park, and Del Mar was the center of attention. No Saratoga. Remember now how things switched. Saratoga used to run on Monday. They do not run on Monday any longer. But Del Mar got off and running yesterday, and Saratoga, and I want to tell you this, that the Ortiz brothers, no matter if it's Irad or JL. But I want to tell you, I don't know what they drink every morning, and I don't know what their regimen is, but these guys continue to amaze me. Irad, JL, they just bring them in, and they're the top, the riders back there at Saratoga. But enough about all that. Let's get to the racing action today. When I look at this card, and I really happy because it's Tommy D's birthday and a special day. But, when I think about the great moments in sports that I have and that I will take with me, one of them is about Personal Ensign when she was the undefeated champion of the world. She had a win streak of 10 in a row. Ogden Phipps, the Phipps family owned it. A name in her honor today. Race number 5. Tommy D, it's not a big field in race number 5 at Saratoga. It's a grade 1, 500,000, a mile and an eighth, 4 and upward, a group of fillies and mares. What do you have and what do you see in the Personal Ensign?
This one, obviously, the horse to beat here is going to be Midnight Basoo. This is a 5-year-old mare. As we know, Steve Asmussen training Santana. Last one, grade 2 at Churchill Downs in June. Second in the Saudi Cup behind Maxim Security. So some solid victories there. But, Saratoga could be the place that does take those, true favorites down over the years. So there might be a couple that you could take a look at and beat here. It's going to be tough to beat Midnight Pursuit. Definitely the 3 horse is the one to beat. Maybe if you're going to take a shot, the 4 Vexatious. This horse finished second with 100 buyer behind Monogamy Girl. So ran a nice second at 5-1. And the other one I might take a look at is on the outside, and that's 6 Point of Honor Weaver. This one nosed out behind She's a Julie last time at Belmont in a grade 1. So those 2 might be the ones to try to take a shot. That's the 6 and the 4. But number 5, Midnight Basoo, is going to be tough to beat here. Morning line 2-5. The connections are strong. Everything says the horse is ready to fire. $7.3 million in earnings. But if you're going to take a shot, Felix, the 6 and the 4. But Midnight Basoo, it's going to be special to see her run today at Saratoga.
Without any question about that. Owned by Jeff Bloom, a local guy here, formerly trained by Bill Spar and turned over to Steve Asmussen, who I had an opportunity to reach out to a couple weeks ago, and he was on our radio program just a short period of time ago. Tommy D, how old is Midnight Basoo? Is she is a 4-year-old filly, or is she a 5-year-old mare?
She's a 5-year-old mare. So she's a 5-year-old mare, and then a couple of the 6-year-old mare is the 4, and then the younger horse of the bunch that I talked about is the 6 Point of Honor. That's a 4-year-old filly.
Yeah, I think that I think that they have done everything right with Midnight Basoo. There's not any doubt about that. And she's special, as you mentioned. She bankrolled, what did you say, $7 million right now?
The earned $7.3 million in earnings.
How many races? How many races, Tommy D?
21 races in career. It has raced. She's raced 3 times at Saratoga, 3 starts, 1 win, 1 place, 1 show for $500,000. Distance at this distance, 8 starts, 3 wins, 3 place, and 2 shows. So every time in the money at this distance for $4.8 million.
Wow. Hey, Tommy D, did you do your consistent regiment of breaking race by race and handwriting all your notes this morning? Because if you did, I want to ask you in regard to the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. That's the races previous, prior to the Whitney, a mile and an 1/8, 4 and upward. That's the grade 1. I was wondering, did anything jump off the page in any of those 3 races there?
Well, yeah. So in race 6, starting there, Everfast, 7 horse. This is going to be the horse to beat. I hear dropping down in a grade 1, Calmet Farms. Strong connections here. This horse had a lot of hype, early in his 3-year-old career. Now as a 4-year-old, this 4-year-old colt, Everfast, is the one to beat here. Maybe if you're going to take a shot, number 6, Stage Left, Wesley Ward. This horse winning first time off the bench, and you get Ortiz aboard anytime. I know you talked about the Ortiz brothers. Never doubt them if they're on the horse, and you like it a little bit, play it. Both Ortiz and Rosario's dead on fire right now. So I like the 6 and the 7, maybe the 5 at a long price. If you're playing a deep ticket, this horse is coming out of a Claimant 25. It's a little bit more of a reach here, stronger competition. But I'm going to say the same thing. Ortiz Jr. at 12-1. So that's the only reason I threw it in there. So 6, 5, 7, but I think the 7's the one to beat in race 6 here, Felix.
Tommy D, you just made my point, because I was sharing with a friend yesterday at the OC Tavern. We're up there in San Clemente, and I said, these Ortiz brothers, they are winning at huge odds. I mean, 24-1 a week ago, 17-1, 9-1, 12-1, and somehow, you kind of scratch your head after and go, wow. I mean, he won that one race at 9-1 last week. I believe it was Irad that he won by as far as you could throw a stone. In just riding so confidently, and just a good rider. With both of them are good riders, and that colony back there is really, really good, because you have Tyler Gaffleone, who is and Tyler's riding very, very good as well. Tommy D, I wanted to bring this to the audience's attention, and maybe you have more information that you could share, but I understand Chad Brown is in a little slump. He's like 2 for 80 at Saratoga. Have you any numbers or any information in regard?
Oh, but I can pop that up here in 1 second. But yeah, Chad Brown is definitely struggling. He's definitely going to get back on track. I wouldn't doubt him too much. Let's take a look. Chad Brown, the last 10 days, he's 2 for 2. He's got 2 wins out of 25 mounts. So, for Chad Brown, that's pretty poor percentage, less than 10% there for Chad Brown at Saratoga currently. So trainer's a little bit hot. Christopher Clement, Todd Pletcher, they're both a little bit hotter right now. And then Michael Maker also doing really well over the last 10 days.
Yeah, Christophe Clement, we were talking about him yesterday. It just seems when he uses Rosario on the turf, you can just go stand in line in the window. Just really, really a really good guy right there. Getting buzzed and getting a lot of action happening today, and really happy. I just want to shout out to Jose Lascano, who I think his riding, the jockey back at Saratoga, I think he's riding is better than he ever has. And you can add him to the mix. And also Ricardo Santana Jr. Remember now, it's real important to keep focused, because these jockeys that are riding at Saratoga, they cannot leave Saratoga and come back and ride, so they're confined. No other jockeys are allowed to ship in. So I was going to ask you, Tommy D, just say like Mike Smith rode Code of Honor throughout his races, and, he wouldn't have been able to ride Code of Honor today. So do you look at any of these changes, or does that play into your handicapping at all, Tommy D?
Maybe a little bit, a little factor. Of course, you want to see the regular jock aboard, that knows the horse, that's been on the horse, it's been in the stakes against tough competition. So that's something you want to see. But if you can't see it, then, a couple things you might want to look out for is, top jockeys. Ortiz Jr., where are they going? What mount do they jump on? Ortiz Jr. jumps on Improbable. Johnny V is the regular rider on Code of Honor. Nothing had to change there. Alvarado's the regular one. Rosario's been on Tom Zayat a lot. And then Calhoun, they're switching up to Ortiz. So the switches in the big race today, the Whitney, I don't see much of a change. Yeah, you lose Saez on By My Standards, but Corey Lannery rode last time. And then you get Ortiz Jr. On Improbable instead of DVD. I love DVD, but Ortiz Jr., the way he's riding, knows the Saratoga track, I think it's definitely in favor for Bob Baffert.
Yeah, without any doubt about that. I mean, and, the Whitney, you've got a small field, but this field is very, very good. Tom's Dietot from the Albert Stall Barn. Without any question, with Rosario aboard. And then, my baby is Code of Honor. And Johnny V and Shug McGahee are hooking up. And then Baffert has Improbable. By My Standards, remember we had Brent Calhoun on this radio program. And he shocked the world, bringing By My Standards up to, a grade 1. Mr. Buff with J.C. Kimmel and Junior Alvarado. I tell you what, who do you like in the Whitney, Tommy D?
I do like the favorite quite a bit here. That's the 6 horse. The pronunciation gives me a little tongue twister all the time. Tom's Day Etat. It would be my top choice. This horse is doing nothing wrong. So, the numbers are impressive. 109 last time, winning the Stephen F. Foster Grade 2. Albert Stahl's the trainer here. Really strong connections. And then Improbable, Bob Baffert. This horse training really well. 105 last time, winning the Gold Cup, shipping out. So Baffert thinking, Probable has a chance to get a Ortiz Jr. up. Those are my top 2. I know that you like Code of Honor. Code of Honor, obviously, coming out of a tough, the Met with losing to Vacoma is just lights out right now. So number 3, Code of Honor, you don't want to take anything away from this one. 2 for 2 at Saratoga is what intrigues me there, Felix. So your 3, Code of Honor, I think I might take a shot and try to beat it. I guess there's not much prices in here because they're all quality horses.
Right.
2 Improbable, and then the 5, Tom's Day Etat is definitely the one to beat here.
Without a doubt. I agree with you. But I'm going to tell you, Tommy D, Code of Honor came back last time, rested. That was the first off a layoff, and you would have how much time it was from his last race to his last race. And how long was it, Tommy D? We got Code of Honor was off. I think he might have been off for 6 months, if I stand correct. Is that what you're seeing?
So he ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and then he ran June 6th at Belmont on a muddy track where he won the Westchester Grade 3 with a 101. Being an okay fields, endorsed, forewarned, not the strongest of some of the bunches he's faced. And then he went July 4th. On July 4th, went into the Metropolitan Handicap Grade 1, finished 3rd. It was closing. It was at a mile distance.
Yep.
So it's going to be getting a little bit more action here. But Shug McGahee, will have this horse ready to fire. Code of Honor. I know a lot of talk. A lot of people are on this horse. So I think that the real fact is, can any of these horses beat the 5? Is the real question. And I think if they can, I think it's up to the 2 and the 3. But it's a short field, but very competitive because, even by my standards, the 1 has got some quality class too. So we'll see.
Yeah, you're going to have a great horse race without any question because the speed is the 4, Mr. Buff, the 5, Tom's Dietat, and the 1, by my standards, are all going to be on. But when I look back at Code of Honor, and if you get 5-2 or 3-1, you got to bet Code of Honor. Code of Honor loves Saratoga. I don't think he got the best of rides last time. Little far back, as you mentioned, came charging down. I watched him very closely. I've been on this equine for a long time. I just love the development, and I think today is going to be his day. I think that he'll be able to be a little closer, tracking the speed, and moving forward. Let's go out to my man, Steve Roel. Steve Roel is on the line with us here live from Track Talk Central. Steve, at top of the morning, how are you?
Hey, Felix, how are you?
I'm doing great. I know that you've been watching all the racing action for weeks and weeks, and you're playing from home like most are playing, or sort of geared to be played, because that's the only way you can go unless you go to Siberia for an OTB. Only 2 OTBs open here in San Diego County. But, Steve, how do you size up the racing at Saratoga, Del Mar, and perhaps any other venue that you're keeping your eye? I know you don't have very much data with Del Mar because we raced and we were off a week and then we're back. Saratoga into the second week right now, starting to move. How do you gauge what you see in regard to those venues that I mentioned?
All right. Well, first, happy birthday to Tommy D. I really enjoyed listening to him and his analysis. And I wanted to mention a little thing about you said about Monday at Del Mar, Felix.
Yes, go ahead.
I mean, that stunned me. That was the best card that they put up in years.
You're about the third or fourth person that told me that.
And I'm a sheep player, and I studied under the great Len Friedman, and of course our best pal and the guy we love so much, Kenny Daniels. And back in the early '90s, I got on the sheets and learned from those guys. So, it's a very cool way for me with this quarantine to sit in front of my computer and play all day long, every day.
So, what do you attribute to the racing card on Monday. I mean, you're about the third or fourth person that told me and said, hey, look, one person came to me yesterday and said last Monday's card at Del Mar could have been one of the best cards he's seen in 10 years. But with that being said, are you keeping any eyes open to how the tracks are playing at Saratoga or Del Mar?
Well, sure. Saratoga is probably one of my favorite tracks. I play Saratoga all the time, and it's a marvelous course. I think it's fair. They had some wet weather, and it got kind of muddy one day, and I couldn't figure out what was going to go on, so I had to pass the card. But in general, it's been a real fair racetrack, as in my opinion, has Del Mar.
I don't know, Tommy D, correct me if I'm wrong, because, I learn from everybody and I steal information from everybody. But am I in the ballpark assuming, Tommy D, that Del Mar is playing real fast on the dirt?
I think it's playing pretty fair. It's deep, though, Felix. I'm hearing from a lot of people that the track is very deep. So it's tiring on the dirt, I think. So I don't know on how fast necessarily, but I do know that it is tiring and, a little bit deeper on the dirt.
Steve Roel, I know that you have a juicy little selection from Woodbine today, and I love Woodbine. Right now it's my third best conference. I call them all conferences. What conference are you in? I'm in the Del Mar conference. I'm in the Saratoga conference, and I like Woodbine because I like, first of all, I like the jockeys up there, but you have a nice selection for our listening audience. Why don't you take it away, Steve Roel?
I've got an interesting one. I had to choose between Saratoga, Del Mar, Gulfstream, Woodbine, and Woodbine to me looked like the best card, and I can't handicap 25 races a day, so I went over there in Del Mar. Up at Woodbine, I was just going through, and I couldn't find anything, and then all of a sudden, in the ninth race at Woodbine, it's 1.1 miles on Tapeta, and I saw that Emma J. Wilson was on a horse that had a sheet number and pattern that is a sneaky one. It would be a favorite of Ken Daniels, I'll tell you that. He and I would be on the same horse on this one because it has a very interesting pattern. It's at 12-1. I really don't expect to get 12-1. I'd be happy with 6 or 7, but it looks like a real clean shot on the sheet.
What race again, Steve, and what number?
That's the 9th, and it's the number 3 horse, Holyfield, with Emma J. Wilson.
I love Emma J. Wilson. You talk about...
Is she the best?
Oh, she is tough. I mean, especially on the front end. I mean, she reminds me a little bit of Patrick Valenzuela, believe it or not. Okay, you also have another selection in regard to Del Mar, Steve. Where is it?
It's in the race number 4, Felix. It's Goodbye Putin, the mile of 16th on the turf. It's got Espinosa on it. It's got a lot of layoffs, lines, so obviously it's not the soundest of a horse, but it's had 5 works since its last layoff, and looks good on the sheet, has the right numbers to win this thing. I would say maybe at 5-1. I'd love 5-1.
Goodbye, Putin. Victor Espinosa and Carla Gaines. To me, that's a jockey-trainer combination. That is in Carla Gaines and Victor Espinosa. 4 in the 4th, and then we're going up to Woodbine in race number 9, according to Steve, number 3. Roland, I will call you after the show. Send my best to Eddie Briggs, and man, we're gonna fire this summer up, and we're gonna get rolling today because you made your breakout appearance on the radio program. I'm going to call you right after the show, so pick up.
Okay, thanks.
You got it, man. Roel, Steve Roel joining us here on the radio, and we're continuing to roll. My next man up, a happy belated birthday. But I mean, every weekend's his birthday. He's one of my favorite people on the land. His name is Carlin Rogers. We affectionately know him as CC, Creating Capital. He's busy at work. He came on this radio program last week and tossed out a winner. It was it was thicker than water. CC on the radio on this Saturday morning. What's up, my man?
Good morning, Felix. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good.
Good.
What do you got going?
Well,
Want me to give you a drum roll or something? Let's pick it up a little bit here. Okay? I know it's Saturday,
okay,
man. You might have had a busy Friday night. Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
No, actually, just doing a lot of handicapping.
Yes.
Cards are a little interesting today.
Yes, they are.
We're settling in at Del Mar. We're settling in race 8. And I'll just share with you one of the angles that we like to use at Creating Capital, and that is especially in the first part of a meet where horses are transferring from one track to another. How well the horses work over the local track is oftentimes very important, and we're going to settle in on number 3, Reign of Fire, in race 8 at Del Mar. Picks up Drayden Van Dyke. He also owns the early speed in this race. Now, we know Drayden isn't one to just blast him out of the gate, but I think in this race it gives Drayden some choices. He can let the rest of them go and reserve some energy, or he can just see if he can wire the field because they're only going 5.5 furlongs. Excellent works over the Del Mar racetrack, and the fact that the trainer, Louis Mendez, gets Drayden Van Dyke to ride this horse, I think also is an indication that the horse has some good ability. So that's our play for this week. Our suggested wagering strategy on this horse is 2 units to win, 6 units to place, and 12 units to show.
I like it. I like your analysis. I would have to disagree with you, however, though. I don't think Reign of Fire is going to be on the front end in this race.
He may not be, but just on numbers, he owns the front end speed. So we'll see what Drayden chooses to do. And knowing Drayden, he may not. He may just reserving some. But just on the numbers on paper, he owns the front end speed. And I know I'm So Anna is going to take a lot of action off the big numbers at Los Alamitos in that last race. But how many times have we seen horses that run well at that Los Alamitos track that just don't take to the Del Mar surface?
Yeah, it could be, and it's a good point you made. But hey, you got one of the the up and coming trainers. You got Drayden, who is starting to find his way around. Where can people find your selections? Creating Capital, one of the best long shot services in the country. What do you have, and what can you share with our audience where they can get in touch with you?
Oh, sure. Just go to creatingcapital.net. On the internet. Registration is free, so register there. That way you'll be on our email list and so forth. And of course, there's also different packages one can purchase as well. As you know, we focus on not every race, but we try to find somewhere between 2 and 4 races a day on a card with horses that are at least 5 to 1 morning line or higher, and that's where you can find us. Speaking of that, Felix, the one other thing, there's another horse today, didn't meet our criteria, but I just want to toss this horse out because the horse also seems to really like Del Mar. Won 2 races last year at Del Mar, beat some really nice horses in those races. Got pulled up and walked off, came back, won 2 more races, won a stakes race, and that's Collusion Illusion. Today. I know McKenzie and Fashionably Fast and some other nice horses in that race, but don't rule out any horse that likes the Del Mar Oval. We've seen that over the years a number of times. Some horses just really like being down at Del Mar. I don't know whether it's the salt in the sea air or what. But we just keep him in mind today when you're looking at the big race for the day.
Yeah, Tommy D. McKenzie scratched. I believe McKenzie scratched out of the Bing Crosby. This is the Bing Crosby, correct?
Right.
Tommy D.
Yes, there was talk of it. I don't know if it was official. I think that the plans were that they were saying about the post, that he didn't like the post, so they were going to scratch McKenzie. So I believe that you're correct on that, Felix.
Okay, and Uncle Chuck, I got late word. Another of the Baffert trainees. Uncle Chuck is shipping to New York to run in the Travers. And so the Travers is next week. Am I correct in assuming the Travers is next week, Tommy D? I don't know what day this is. I don't know what month it is, but I think that I put a couple of comments into my ears. I think the Travers is next week. Is it not, Tommy D?
I think that is correct, and Uncle Chuck is going there. So the Travers is going to be next week, and it will be Uncle Chuck will be there.
All right. Cece, I will catch up with
Uncle
you a little
Chuck
bit later.
Scratched.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to let you know, I just pulled up the scratches from 9:34, so 2 minutes ago at Del Mar. And as of 2 minutes ago in race 10, the only scratch is still the 5.
All right.
Okay, they got McKenzie in.
All right. Yep. Well, we'll find out. Cece.
It could get updated some more, of course.
Cece, have a great day. Cece, creating capital on the Track Talk radio show. My man, Cece, give the best to Kimberly out there as well. Shouting out, I know you're listening up there. And so is Donna up there in Encinitas, and Tom in San Diego, Jim down in San Diego. Just great people that have followed along. Toby Turrell is going to be joining us here a little bit later on. I don't know how much later on. It's 9:36. We're moving along here. So, Tommy D, when you look at Del Mar's card, there had to be one race, Tommy, that, outside of, maybe a stakes race that you said, hey, look, this is a race where that it really interests me. What race would that be?
Because I heard this earlier, race 4, number 4, Goodbye Putin. I like that one too. That was one with Gaines and Victor Espinoza, 5-1. That's one that I had marked down that I was planning on talking about. But let's move on a little bit later into the card.
Hold on, Tommy D. In the 4th race, you like the 4, Goodbye Putin. Steve Roel liked it as well. Who are you matching it up with in some exotic plays? May it be exacta or trifecta?
Yeah, so in this one, I do like number 7, Sly. This is Mandela, won first time. I made it 40 off the bench quite nicely. This 4-year-old by Orb. That might be one you might want to throw in there. And then 6, Bud Knight at 4-1, coming out of a Valance race where it didn't show up too much, but if you go 2 back, it was much better. It will go back to the turf where it belongs. So dirt to turf. Leonard Powell is the trainer there, so you got to like that.
What number is that? What, Leonard Powell, hold on. You got me. I'm doing a multitasking, but let me tell you.
Good.
I'm sorry. I apologize. When you said Leonard Powell, he told me about a horse that was going to run at Del Mar, and I forgot about it. And when I saw the horse win, so Leonard Powell is, keeping to task, and you got to anything that Leonard Powell sends out, I keep an eye open because he's been working really hard. He's been down here at Del Mar prior to anyone else getting there. So you like Bud Knight as well? With 5?
Yeah, Bud Knight and Sly. And then, the other one a little bit interested too, but that's the favorite. But this horse just 0 for 9 at Del Mar, so that's why I'm trying to beat Adam Kitchingham here. That's too big buzz. So I like the 4 over the 7-6 here. Yeah,
okay. What other race were you going to before I interrupted you?
Oh, yeah, so I was going to say we could move along to I thought a tough one that we could possibly look at is race 8. I mean, this one is very competitive. I'm going to try to beat the favorite here, who is the 7. Sorry here. I'm trying to get my DRF is struggling here.
Yep.
Let's get here. DRF is where I do all my stuff here.
What do you have?
So
Which
I'm
race
so
you going to?
Scratch. That's why I don't see it, Felix.
What's that?
But, number 6. I'm so Anna, the horse I was trying to beat, Scratch. So I guess I already beat it. That's why I couldn't find it. But the
Okay.
horse I like is number 6, Love Wins, which is not in the race either. So I'm going to go to my next one, Big Andy. So it's not a horse I really love, but Blake Heap gets Flavian Pratt here. Second last time out. I think that Big Andy has a good chance. But, the horses I did like in this one, number 6, Love Wins, looked like it was a scratch too. So let's move on to something else maybe.
Yeah, we will. And,
I can go back to Saratoga if you want.
Yeah, no. Soon I get untangled with my headphone wires, I'll be right back with you. That is something common that we always do inside the studio, or I always do. But I want to talk a little bit about Blake Heap. That was the thing that was on my mind. Blake Heap is the longtime assistant to Wesley Ward. And so every time Blake Heap runs, I give a second look, and you talked about Big Andy and our man, Big Andy Asaro. He might be out there listening to the radio program, and TQ up there in Los Angeles is joining us, and we're really happy. Bob and Kathleen back in Philadelphia tuning in to our radio program. We appreciate them, listening in. It's been the toughest of times, the craziest of times. I had an opportunity to talk with my pal Nelson Arroyo before getting to the studio today, and Nelson represents Jorge Velez and Heriberto Figueroa, and it's been real tough. It's real tough. Del Mar is very, very competitive, but they're hustling. These agents are hustling, and they're going through a virtual reconfiguration, so to speak, and it's all working out. I have a sense, and I don't have any idea why I do have a sense, but I have a sense, Tommy D, that you have a winner back at Saratoga that you have not shared with us today. And I'm going to give you that opportunity of the 11 races. Not actually, there are 12 at Saratoga. The 12 races at Saratoga. Where is your value pick from Saratoga?
That's a tough question here. A lot of value there at Saratoga today, but maybe one to take a look at would be third race. It's a maiden 40, and what I'm looking at is a strong connections. The 8 horse. You got Cox and Ortiz, and you're getting 8-1 here.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be trying to beat the 9 horse Regal Speaker, but the 8 School Street, first time starter for Cox and Ortiz at 8-1 might be a play. Race 3 at Saratoga.
Nice. Ken Rose, Royal Oak, Michigan, checking in with us. Thank you very much for the kind words. I think the show has a lot of legs on it today, and happy to have CC and Steve Roel, who Steve Roel and Ken Daniels, they work very, very hand in hand on a daily basis. Kenny would call his folks and analyze the sheets. This is going back to 90. Kenny's been gone for 5 years, and I ran into somebody from Vegas last week up at San Clemente at the OC Tavern, where I just like to hang out and watch the racing action and meet some new people, and it's been pretty nice up there. I want to shout out to Lisa and Jim up there, or Lisa and Chris up there, and all the other folks. Toby is up there. I mean, not Toby Turrell, but a gentleman named Toby, and I laugh when I say, "Hey, what's your name?" He said, "Toby." And I know, wow, maybe I should be here. But there is just a lot of good stuff happening, and the racing action has been really good. And it was funny that when Roel came on and said that Monday's card, 2 or 3 people, maybe even more, came up and said, "Hey, this card on Monday was great," And I didn't get out, didn't get up there. I was really exhausted from the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But getting to the racing action, I think that at Del Mar, and this is only at Del Mar, that you got to keep an eye open for horses that are early front runners or just 1 or 2 to 3 lengths off the speed. I haven't seen anything close from way out. Now, I could be wrong and that could change, but I haven't seen that. And there are some people that I go to, because I cherry pick from each and every one of them, like we all do. And what I do is I asked, he said, hey, it's really running fast. That main course at Del Mar is. And so I said, what about the turf? And he didn't know what to talk about at the turf. The key to the turf is how long the grass is. And it's been 2 weeks now. I would think, without having any knowledge, that the grass hasn't been cut since the resumption of the racing. Remember, Del Mar opened for 3 days, and then they had to close. They had to close for 3 days, which was a good move. By the way, I shared with some people that I would be talking about Del Mar, and I am always fond of talking about Del Mar. Del Mar this week allowed owners, just 2 owners, no guests, to come to the races and watch their horses run. Now, earlier stated they came in, they were only allowed to watch the morning line workouts if you were a licensed owner from 6 to 10. They put you in a little section at the track, 10 o'clock, they exit you out. You can't come back in the afternoon. This week, Del Mar released that if you were an owner who had a horse that was running that day, you were entitled to come and watch him run. That was started yesterday. I believe there was like 200 owners there. That's a good start. The media, like us, who promote this sport for like 100 years, well, they haven't got to us yet. But it's not important because I'm over it. As Tommy D would say, at least we got racing. And it was so vital and important for us to resume racing because some felt if we didn't resume racing at Del Mar, the California racing was in big trouble. And I would agree with that. And I think you would as well. There's a lot of good people in this industry, a lot of good people that work hard. The California trainers, jockeys, owners, grooms, hot walkers, whoever you are. The farriers. I mean, you just go on. And there's some bad people there, too, in California racing, too. But, that's for another show. And always keeping an eye on those people to see how they're maneuvering and how they're trying to jump and leapfrog and move forward. But it is what it is. And as long as we could just be status quo, we don't know where this virus is going, and we don't know what the future may hold. So every day is a different experience and an adventure, and therefore I believe that it will be quickened to a minute by minute in that regard. I believe one thing, that 3-day racing is perfect for Del Mar. I think these fields are good. I think they're competitive. David Jerkins, Tommy Robbins. I think that you're working under a different set of circumstances, and there's all going to be people that always take shots, and no matter what you do, you're not going to satisfy them. And I'm ready to take a big shot. Are you ready for this? Because if you can tell me how long I've been talking about this, and until we fix this major issue in my mind, we are not going to move forward in this sport. Now, there was some talk about the tickets that were a part of the only tickets at Del Mar and Saratoga or Del Mar were that $8 ticket won the total jackpot on Monday for $173,000, and there was some question that they had so many different combinations and so forth and so on. And I want to tell you, if you don't see it happening, I'm here to tell you it is happening blatantly. That somebody has a pot open. They are betting these horses while this race is being run. A horse yesterday, 10-1, moving to the far turn, starts to make the lead, and he drops the 9-2. I'm thinking, hey, look, the late money, you can't get me on this. Anyway, what's more important is I got my man Toby Turrell joining us here. The Double T, how in the hell are you, my friend?
Hey, Felix, I'm doing great up here with this magnificent view from the sixth floor of this grandstand that has been the home of the racing at Del Mar for a couple of decades now. And this race meet in particular, yep, we've got our hairs in the soup without any question. But I'll tell you, going into day number 9, we are certainly riding high here at Del Mar from a business standpoint.
Without any doubt about that, 11.6 on Monday, as I mentioned. And, I know you've been really busy because I've reached out to you several times, and nobody's going to interrupt the Double T's regiment, and I respect that to the most. And I hope that you get it under control because they were telling me that I ran into Michael McCarthy again and the works there, and I ran into a number of people that said, hey, it's moving very, very quickly, and there's a lot of work tabs and a lot of action, and you're trying to catch up like the rest of the world, and we're trying to incorporate your catch up into our daily regimen of seeing what you're seeing out there. So what are you seeing out there, Dobie?
I'll tell you, it's getting interesting. For example, this morning we had Uncle Chuck, who is going to scratch out of the Shared Belief Stakes today for Bob Baffert and run in the Travers next Saturday. Obviously a very ambitious move, and for good reason. This horse is showing some brilliance on a routine basis now. In fact, today, Felix, this horse, he finished in about 11 and change, and it didn't stop there. He kept on running all the way around to the backstretch in about a 1:39.3 gallop out time. Wow. Phenomenal turn of foot there on the gallop out alone. So he is very quietly marching into the Kentucky Derby picture in a bold way. So we'll look forward to that next weekend. And today, Baffert will just have to settle for running improbable back there against what a lot of people are calling the best dirt horse in the world, a horse called Tom's de Tot, owned by the family of the owners of the New Orleans Saints.
Yes, right. That's named after him. His wife named that. That's exactly right, with Albert Stahl. But my boy's running. They're all running for second. My boy, Code of Honor, is running in that race. And take a look at it. Toby, you've been very, very good. Your work, definitely, the hard work that you put into your card, winner's card, and your works, and, what you're doing. I know, I've known you for a long time, and I know that you're really focused on what you're doing, and job one is to make sure that you get caught up, because you cannot relate unless you get caught up, and you have a lot of work that you're compiling and you're entering data, and I respect you to the fullest. I want to get back to the third race, Tobe. We got 2-year-old maidens. Who caught your eye in the third race from Del Mar this afternoon?
Well, it's interesting because you have 2 horses in here that have a lot of speed, and that is the number 10 horse, Dixie's 2 Stents for Doug O'Neill, and a horse from the Ryan Hansen barn called Epidemic. They have both shown tremendous gate speed. So therefore, I believe the horse who might have the most polish to sit behind them and perhaps just kind of swing out and go on by might be the Baffert horse, the 5, Freedom Fighter, because that's what he did in his most recent gate work here. He took off around the turn with a big turn of foot, and all he needs to do is tuck in behind those 2 other speeds, I think, and if he does that, then he can roll right on by him.
Who's the other 2 speeds, Tobe?
The other 2 speeds are Dixie's 2 Stents. That's Doug O'Neill, and he's the 10 horse. And Epidemic, the number 4 horse there for young Ryan Hansen, who's kind of on his way with a little momentum in his young career. Of course, he's married to a popular broadcaster named Michelle Yu.
Yes, he is. He got it going on, and Epidemic. I mean, I almost fell off my chair when you said that because that's what we're experiencing here. All right, so what about the 6 race Double T? We got another group of maidens here.
Well, you mentioned Michael McCarthy. I've always got to just refer to him as what he was referred to in these parts for decades. His very catchy nickname, of course, is Whitey. And he has a horse in here named Dolce that I think is ready to step up. And we'll see. We'll see if that horse steps up. It's a pretty competitive race. But Dolce might be the one to step up. Whitey's barn is just going just smoking hot right now.
Hey, Toby, on my overnight, it says that Richard Baltus is the trainer of Dolce.
Oh, sorry about that. Actually, but that shows you how far ahead I'm trying to stay of the game. He's got a horse DOLCI in tomorrow.
Okay.
Does Whitey. No, Richard Baltus is the trainer, and, we'll trade. In this case, we will trade Whitey for Baltus. I don't think we'll go too far wrong on that trade either.
No, and I ran into Whitey, and Michael. He wants to be called Michael right now, and I respect that, and I've known him for a long period of time, and he left California, became top assistant for Todd Pletcher for many, many years, and I've known Whitey ever since. You probably have known him longer than I have, but I've always affectionately called him Whitey, and so I said, I want you to come on the show. He's been very, very busy, but what I really like about him, he responds to the text. And so when I ran into him in front of the quick corner, we were getting sandwiches, I asked him, hey, Whitey, if you come on, is it okay if I call you Whitey? And he looked at me and said, yep, you're good. All right, so it is Whitey. And I tell him, I said, Toby talks about you all the time. All right, we got the 9th race. What do you have in the 9th race?
Got the clearance there from Whitey. The 9th race, I'll tell you, a trainer who goes way back in the archives is Derek Meredith.
Yep.
Trained a great Breeders' Cup sprinter way, way back in the day. And he's a fixture in Arcadia at a little bar called the First Cabin, which I did many seminars at. And he's hung around all these decades. And he's got a long shot in here, at least he was a long shot last time, named Naughty Evelyn. And the race was no fluke. This horse actually has some good legs underneath. And a very strong workout coming into this race. So I think you're going to see a lot of speed from this horse. If nobody pressures him by the time they hit the upper stretch off the turn, I think he can get Brave or she can, and Naughty Evelyn might be able to steal race number 9 in here, and that's number 2 on your program.
All right, we got to hurry because Wade Taylor is standing up. He's doing all his cheers, giving me the thumbs up of a great show, and I agree. I think this is one of our better productions. Happy birthday to Tommy D. 11th race we go. We're going to end this show on a winner, Toby, and all the pressure is on you. Who do we circle in the final at Del Mar?
Number 9, On Mars. Big Money Mike Smith, Phil D'Amato. I think they got the right horse in here. On Mars.
Toby, I want to see you this week for dinner. Tommy D, we've got to make plans. I want to have dinner for you, Tommy D, Wade Taylor, and Toby Turrell sometime this week. to celebrate your birthday, Tommy D. And Tommy D, from all of us, and especially me, I miss seeing you inside the studio. I want you to have a great birthday with your lovely brand new daughter, Gianna, and my man, Luca Bear, your lovely wife, Erica. Wade Taylor, thank you very much for a great production. Steve Roel, CC, Toby Turrell. What a great show this has been. And it's all here on the WS Radio Network. For all of us, to all of you, happy birthday, Tommy D. We will see you in the winner's circle, live on the WS Radio Network Track Talk.